the Western Congressional Delegation, and honestly I mean this, both Senators Charles Schumer and Hillary Rodham Clinton have been extraordinary in their focus for Western New York. You have, we have in them extraordinary representation. So we are fortunate to have them, and even more so we are proud to claim them. It gives me a great honor and distinction to introduce to you United States Senator Hillary Rodham Clinton.
Thank you, Brian. Well, first, I want to thank everybody associated with this base, because you've done a tremendous job. This is in no way a reflection on the men and women who serve and work at this reserve station. In fact, by any criteria, they are above and beyond the call of duty, day in and day out. And they have been for many, many years, since shortly after World War II. I want to thank Merrill Lane and everybody associated with NYMAC, because you came together as a community and you've been working your hearts out. And we've been trying to help to provide the money that's needed to keep modernizing and updating the installation. I also believe that between Merrill and John Cooper and the rest of the NYMAC team, we're going to send a very clear and loud message to Washington that they're in for a fight on this, that we believe with all our hearts this is a mistake. And I think if you look at the criteria, it could not be clearer that this is a mistake. You know, I'm on the Armed Services Committee. We worked on these criteria. I didn't approve BRAC. I voted against BRAC. I thought it was foolish to be doing BRAC in the middle of a war. We don't even know what our future needs are going to be. And we're going to be closing bases overseas, bringing people back. We have no idea how we need to structure our forces for homeland security and national defense. But we lost that, so BRAC moved forward. So we created criteria that we thought were fair and that put military value first. Now, if you look at those criteria that are in the legislation, there is no way Niagara should be on this list. And I believe that once we make that case to the commission, they will have to understand the great mistake that's been made. You know, just briefly, there is absolutely no argument about military value. I was privileged to fly out of Baghdad at night in November of 2003 with a C-130 piloted by men from the 914th. I was so proud of that. You know, they invited me up into the cockpit, and I watched them put on those night vision goggles because we had to take off without any lights at all. I watched them, you know, leaning out, looking to make sure that there were no enemy fire coming their way. And they did it so expertly. And when I got back, you know, I not only sent them a thank you note, but I asked to find out, well, you know, tell me, how many missions are they flying? And the word came back, you know, the 914th has the highest capability on night vision goggle flying of anybody in the Air Force Reserve, and better than a lot of the active duty Air Force. So if you look at military value, you look at the way we have used these two wings in the last years, there is no argument about their military value. Secondly, the decision that's being made to move the C-130s to Little Rock, the tankers to Maine, also makes no sense to me. You know, the idea that you're going to consolidate all of these Guard and Reserve wings and units on active duty bases is a mistake. You know, we need to have a vital, very active and effective Guard and Reserve. We're facing recruitment and retention problems in the military now. We're not making our numbers when it comes to recruiting and retention. We need this mix of forces, active duty, Guard and Reserve. And I believe that when we really look at some of the reasons why these consolidations don't make sense, people will agree with us. First, there are weather problems. I know this for a fact. Some of you might remember I used to live in Little Rock. I've been chased by a tornado between Little Rock and the Jacksonville Air Force Base. No fooling. Because it's in Tornado Alley. Why would you put all your C-130s in a place that's, it's a wonderful place, but there are weather problems? The same in Maine. Why would you put all of your tankers that have to do the essential job of refueling over the Atlantic in a place whose weather patterns are more unpredictable and worse than here in Niagara? Why would you consolidate on a base like Little Rock that has some challenges, whereas here in Niagara we don't have encroachment problems, we don't have environmental problems, we have open airspace. Finally, we are the largest base on the northern border that can respond in homeland security emergencies. If we haven't learned anything since 9/11, we certainly should have learned we've got to be prepared and vigilant at all times. And New York has to remain at the center of our preparedness. So we're going to make this case, and you've got a great team here. As Tom said, it's bipartisan, it's in both houses of Congress, it's in the governor's office, everybody's working together. And so we will be presenting this, but we couldn't do it if we didn't have the merits to stand on. We couldn't go make the case if we couldn't make the argument, if we didn't have the evidence. But we've got that. And so I am really